22.
Can you repeat please the chapter?
Hmm?
Can you repeat because I could not.
Third Canto, 26th chapter, verse 22.
Verse 22.
So these are teachings of Lord Kapila to his mother Devhuti on the philosophy called Sankhya. And he explained that there are 28 elements to be understood, which are broadly divided into two groups, Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the Supreme Lord, Prakriti is the external energy, which is also called Pradhana and Maya. And Prakriti manifests 24 tattvas, which include 5 gross elements, 5 tanmatras, 5 working senses, 5 cognitive senses, mind, intellect, ego, and chitta. And 25th is the Prakriti, 26th is the Jiva, 27th is the time, Kala, and 28th is Purusha, Lord himself. So now he began explaining. He already defined Purusha and Prakriti. He is defining now Chitta, which is the first manifestation from Prakriti by the influence of time. So when time acts on Prakriti and Lord injects the souls along with their karma into the Prakriti, then Prakriti starts changing or evolving. Just as when a woman is impregnated by a man, then the womb starts growing, the fetus starts growing in the womb. So that is the evolution which happens. So in the same way the souls are injected into Prakriti, which is like the womb, and then it starts manifestation. So basically there is presence of the souls, their karma and time. These 3 factors act. And everywhere these are the 3 factors which are acting in this material world for all the changes which are occurring. If you analyze them, and there is influence of time, certain things are happening because of time. That's why you always hear this phrase, Kali Yuga Prabhu. So that is the influence of time. And then of course there is a karma of living beings. And along with that the soul is there, because karma is not hanging in the air, it is hanging onto the soul, particular individual soul. And that brings change in the matter, in the Prakriti. So when you see things happening here in Vrindavan, the way things are changing, if you see, you come here every year and you see change. So this is all influence of time and karma and the people. So sometimes people object that why this is happening, why not it happening. So it is because we are also influencing it by our karma. All these developments which are happening here in Vrindavan now, which people object, we also object. But we are also instrumental in it. Because if we don't come here, who is going to develop? Suppose everybody stops coming here, who is going to make this multi-story buildings here? Nobody. Who is going to make the bridge? For what? So it is our own influence also, although we may not see like that and we start blaming one party, another party. That is at a lower level, but if you see the bigger picture, we are all party to all this development. We are all culprits. We call it change, undesirable change. If you call it development, then we are all contributing to it. So Prakriti develops by the influence, and this time is the Purusha, Prabhava of Purusha, the potency of the Lord. And Lord is the one who is controlling everything very cleverly. He is sitting inside as the Paramatma. Paramatma means controller. And outside time. So these days people have their office and they may have a screen, and then they have their these video cameras fitted everywhere. Like if you go to say a hospital, then the director of the hospital has got video cameras and the screen in his room, and he can see what is going on. So the super soul is watching like that. The witness inside. From there he directs. And outside is time. That is his energy. Everything is controlled by time. Everything happens in time. Nobody can do anything to it. It is going at its own pace. So time is that which started the game. This is where the Big Bang started. When Prakriti was in its normal balanced state, then time came and disturbed it. So the first thing came was Mahatattva, which was very brilliant in color, and it removed the darkness. And this Mahatattva is the seed. It is like like these guests have come, they have to go up. If the guests are there, they will go to Amina for treatment. So then he explained this chitta, which is very important to understand, because we on spiritual path, our whole process is to clean the chitta. Right? Chitta darpan marjana. So it is very important to know this, what we are trying to clean. If we have to clean the room, we have to also know where the room is. What size is it? How does it look like? Where is it located? And then what kind of dirt it has. So chitta is compared here as very clean, like this floor, marble floor to begin with is clean. And then a lot of dust comes, or you throw some garbage on it. So that has to be removed, because this dust is not going inside the marble floor. It remains only on the top like a layer. So like that, all the impurities, so-called impurities, are actually external to chitta, and therefore they can be removed. So this is what sadhana involves. And chitta, because its nature is sattva, because he said that yat tat sattva gunam swachham shantam bhagavatam. So it is sattva gunam. And then impurities are in the form of rajas and tamas. So there are two types of sadhana, two types of spiritual practice. One is cleaning the chitta by removing this rajas and tamas. This is what you read in yoga and Sankhya and all this. And the other process is the path of bhakti, where you actually change the consciousness, because consciousness is manifesting in the chitta. And original consciousness is in goodness. But then it's like a light which is coming out, and on top of that you have put some different types of colors on it. And the light is coming in multicolors. The vasana, the desires. Vasana is like the covering. Sometimes it is called like a fragrance. Vasana. So originally it is pure, but then all kinds of garbage we put, the fragrance or the smell which comes out of this is not so palatable or desirable. So when we see people like Sukdev Goswami or Kumaras, they are called naked. They don't wear any dress. So it is describing that, showing that their chittas are clean. They don't have any dress on them. So therefore they are situated in Brahman, free from any material vasanas. Nothing is covering them. Clean-hearted. In devotion, we want devotional dress. We don't want just being naked. Then you do nothing. So we want not only removing these things, but actually replacing them with devotional things, devotional vasana. That is the path of bhakti. And for that, you have to actually get inside the chitta. Other processes, they stop outside the chitta. The difference between bhakti marga and all other margas is that all other paths, all other margs, they stop outside the chitta. Bhakti is the only thing which penetrates even the chitta. It's not only cleaning the chitta but also going inside. So that's why it is very strong, because all the things which are coming out from the chitta, there itself, the very source, it goes to that and changes the consciousness. So then it becomes transcendental. Because on all other paths, it is only increasing the goodness. And maximum you can go up to the mode of goodness, sattva-guna. But bhakti goes beyond. So then Vishuddha Sattva has to be brought in there. So that's why he said here that this is the Vasudeva Padam. Yattat Sattu Gunam Swacham Santam Bhagavatah Padam. And this is the seat of Bhagavan, who is called Vasudeva. Yadahur Vasudevaki. That Lord Vasudeva, he comes and then he imbues the heart with his internal potency. That is the sadhana of bhakti. To spiritualize the chitta, not just cleaning it, but actually spiritualizing it. Otherwise, you can always become dirty again. Swabari Muni was inside the river in Yamuna. No disturbance from outside. But even then, the samskaras are still lying. They can become manifest. So that has to be removed when Lord Vasudeva comes there. So he says therefore that Bhagavata Padam, that this is the seat of Lord Vasudeva, and Chittam Tan Mahadatkam. The chitta is made of Mahat Tattva. This is the first manifestation. So we studied this verse yesterday. In the commentary I already did that. Then the next is Swachatvam Avikaritvam Shantatvam iti chet saha Vrittibhir lakshanam proktam Yathapam prakritihi para. He said that the characteristics of chitta are, number one, it is clean, number two, it does not undergo any modifications, avikaritvam, and number three, it is shant, it is peaceful. There are no disturbances in it. And it is by these characteristics that chitta is defined. Earlier he said that these internal senses, they are known by their vrittis, their functions, their qualities. Otherwise it is not possible to know the difference between ego and mind and intellect. They all are internal and look similar. So only by their functions you make a distinction. So these are the three qualities of chitta, that it is clean, it is without any modification and peaceful, shanti. And example is given that yatha apam prakritihi para, just like water. So water is naturally clean, but it can be made dirty and peaceful without any vikara. So this is the defining quality. Then we have the commentary by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who says, Nanu dehastasya chittasya sarvatra swachhattvadi guno labhyate tatraha swachhatvam bhagavad bimba grahitvam avikaritvam laya vikshepurahitvam शांतत्वम रागादि राहित्यम इति लक्षणम चेतस्य चित्तस्य वृत्ति भी स्वाभाविकी भी देव प्रोक्तम. So what is the meaning of clean? He says it is clean because it can accept the bimba of Bhagavan, the form of Lord. So just as if you want to see your face in the mirror, then mirror has to be clean. Then you can see the face. So similarly, you can see Lord in the chitta. There are descriptions in Bhagavatam of Dhruva Maharaj. He was meditating and he was standing on one leg, and then Lord came. But when Lord appeared in front of him, he was standing with closed eyes. So how to tell him that I have come? Because inside he was meditating on the form of the Lord. So what Lord did, that he removed that. He was seeing the Lord in his heart. And therefore there is no need for him to open his eyes. He is absorbed. He was in trance, complete samadhi. Because he was getting the picture of the Lord in his heart. So heart is like a screen where you can see the Lord when it is clean. So then Lord, what he did, that he removed this. Suddenly the screen went blank. So then immediately he was disturbed, he opened his eyes and he saw Lord standing outside. Otherwise, how to get him out of the samadhi? Even if you go and tap him on his head, he is not going to listen. Because he has no consciousness, external consciousness. He is completely absorbed inside. Even if you hit him, he is not going to feel it. Like when you go in deep sleep, somebody come and hit you, you will not know. Somebody becomes unconscious, then you can do anything to him. Person will not know. So Dhruva Maharaj was also like that. He was totally absorbed. How to get him out of this? So Lord, of course, because he himself is there inside, he removed himself and then he got suddenly shocked. He said, what happened? And he opened his eyes and saw the Lord. There is a similar story in the 12th Canto also about Markandeya Rishi. He was also meditating. And Lord Shiva and Parvati, they were walking in the evening and they saw him meditating. And then Parvati said that, oh, he is a very nice sage, you should bless him. And Shiva said, there is no need of blessing, he is alright, he is meditating. So then Lord Shiva also has to enter inside and disturb. Then he opened the eyes and he sees Shiva standing outside. So that's why Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes that Swachhatvam means Bhagavad Bimba Grahitvam. That when it's in clean state, then Lord's form can be seen in the chitta. And that's why it was called Bhagavata Padam. This is the seat of the Lord. This is where he can manifest or you can see him. So this is called Antasukha in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna uses this word Antasukha, Antarrama, Antarjyoti. Happiness within, light within, taking pleasure within. What is this within? So this within is going to the chitta, because this is the internal sense. Now we are trying to get pleasure from external senses. By looking, by hearing, by seeing, by smelling, by touch. These are external. And this is what less intelligent people do. Bhayasparsa svasakta. So Krishna says, Yehi sansparsja bhoga dukhyame evate adyantavanta kante nate suramte vinayat. Those who are intelligent people, they do not take pleasure in the external sense objects. The pleasure which comes by the contact of sense with an external sense object. So what pleasure do they take? Internal, from the internal sense. So that's why chitta is also called internal sense, because it is the sense with which you can see the Lord. Your eyes are closed and you are seeing. And that is through the chitta. So then we have to stop the external senses, work with the internal. So kaschit dhira atmanam akshat avritta chakshu. In the Upanishad it is said that some dhira purusha, sober persons, devotee, can see the Atma inside. Then avikaritvam, what is the meaning of avikari? Avikari means that it is free from laya and vikshepa. When you sit down and meditate or chant, then there are two types of disturbances which come. One is called laya, that you fall asleep. And you don't know what happened. Suddenly you wake up. So that is getting lost in tamas, tamavan. Another is vikshepa, that your mind is running here and there and you don't even know how much time has passed. So that is because of rajaguna. So rajas and tamas, they bring laya and vikshepa. So this, because it is sattva guna, it was already said, yattat sattva gunam shanta swacham. So here it is devoid of both laya and vikshepa, because sattva does not have laya and vikshepa in it. There is no dissolution or agitation. That is the meaning of avikara. So it does not undergo any change. It is in a steady state. Sattva. Existence. That's why it comes from the word sat, to be. It remains as it is. That is the characteristic of chitta. And shanta, peaceful, that it is free from the qualities such as raga and dvesha, attachment, hatred, all this, which are found in the mind. So laya and vikshepa, they are in the buddhi, rag, dvesh, they are in the mind. So it is free from all that. That is the nature of chitta. Iti lakshanam chetsas chittasya vritti bhi swabhavik bhi eva proktam. So this is spoken here in the scripture as the natural characteristics by their states or characteristics of the chitta. Yatha apam, as in water, para prakriti utkashta svabhava. Tena khalu apasvacha fen tarangadi rahita madhuraha shanta bhavanti. So he said, just as the water, naturally it is clean without any foam and movements in it, and sweet and peaceful. यथाच भूम्यादि संसर्गात् स्वच्छत्वादि मत्योः भवन्ति तथैव चित्तम् अपि दुर्विषये आसक्तं चेतना संसर्गात् अस्वच्छम् अपि भवति. And just as when the water falls on the ground, when it comes from rain, it is very clean. But when it falls on the ground, it becomes muddy. So in the same way, all the chitta, by its very constitution, is clean. But when it comes in contact with sense objects and develops attachment to them, then the consciousness becomes polluted. Which is the situation of people in general in this world. There is some nice commentary here by Vallabhacharya. I will also read that. Adi bhautikam lakshyati swachhatvam iti. So earlier we read that all the senses, they are related with Adi Bhauta, Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik and Adhyatmik. The element is Adi Bhut, the sense is Adhyatmik, and the presiding deity is Adhidev. So all these three are described here. So this is the Adi Bhut because it is the characteristic of mind. Swachhatvam, Nirmalatvam, Avikaritvam, Swarvikar-rahitvam, Shantatvam, Gyan Rupatvam. So he says Swacha means free from any impurities, Avikaritvam means there are no modifications, and Shantatvam means it is the nature of consciousness. Buddhi, Mano, Ahankara, Vidasa Artham, Trini Vishesha. He says that these three adjectives are given to distinguish it from Buddhi, mind and Ahankara. Because Buddhir Gyan Rupa api Vishaya Karoti Nesvacha. Buddhi is also in the form of consciousness or awareness, but it accepts sense objects. So therefore it is not clean, because it is always taking the shape of a sense object. It is buddhi vritti, it is making a vritti, and therefore it is always abnormal. Chittam tu nirvishyam, but chitta is nirvishya, it does not have any object for it. Mind always has an object. Cannot think of a mind or intellect without any object. Without object there is no mind. There is some thought, some desire, some emotion in the mind. So therefore in Buddhism they say that when there is no thought, there is no mind. That is also wrong. Mind is always there, but it's not thoughtless. So chitta is only without any vishya, without any object. Kevala Atma Bodha Rupam. It is only in the form of self-consciousness. Just pure awareness. nothing else. Usually awareness is always with an object. Whenever you are aware, you are always aware of something. Right? If you have knowledge, then your knowledge is always related to an object. Knowledge of what? But in case of chitta, it is just pure awareness. There is nothing in it. It's like when you go in deep sleep, then you don't know anything. But you are existing. It's not that you are dead. And if you are existing, you still have awareness. Because soul is not dead. Soul is conscious always, and soul is eternal. So awareness is there, but awareness of what? Awareness of nothing. Awareness of just you, that I. In fact, that I also is not there. Because I has a meaning when it is related with you. If you are not there, then I is also not there. So because of this, people think that absolute reality is formless and qualityless. Because they can go to the level of chitta, these impersonalists. They mistake this as the absolute awareness, absolute consciousness. But this is only chitta. And then they say that it is anirvachaniya, cannot be described. Yes, it cannot be described because there is nothing to describe. What is there to say? Just awareness. In fact, you cannot even say awareness, because as soon as you say awareness, then you say, well, awareness of what? So that's why they say, yata vacho nivartante atvati means. Beyond that, the Brahman is there like that. But this is only individual consciousness. Manifest in the chitta. So you see, chitta is very much like the soul. Very much. Although it is matter, it is so refined that it acts just like the soul. The soul is just awareness. So nirvishyam keval atma avbodha rupam. You just have the feeling of your existence, and that again we are using the word that you have the feeling of your own existence. You cannot speak like that. Because usually the subject and object are different. When you say, I see this book, then I am the subject who is seeing, and book is the object which is being seen. And these two, in our empirical dealing, they are always separate. Subject can never be the object. Seer can never be the seen. But at this level, the subject and object are same. One who is seeing is the same as the seer. Therefore, it is called nirvishya, that there is no object of awareness. Because subject is equal to object. So it is called nirvishya. Nirvikalpak samadhi. And samadhi called nirvikalpak samadhi or nirbij samadhi. In this level, there is no vikalpa, no variety at all. And manastu vikaratmakam spashtameva. So mind is always going through changes, various vikaras, transformations. Santatvam न अहंकारस्य सात्विक अहंकारस्य तथात्वेति पदार्थस्य एकत्वात्. So it is called shanta or peaceful because it is not ahankar. Ego is never peaceful. Right? Ego can never be peaceful. That is its problem. it's not only peaceful, it also cannot let others be in peace. Because it has to establish its own supremacy, and that itself is a disturbance. It's always disturbed and causing disturbance. That is the pleasure of ego. It is always looking for a match. Just like Banasura. So he was very powerful. He was a devotee of Lord Shiva, and he is supposed to have 1,000 hands. So when Lord Shiva was dancing, he played mridanga, and he played mridanga with his 1,000 hands. Maybe he had 500 mridangas. I don't know what he was doing. So Lord Shiva was very pleased with his mridanga playing. So then he asked him that you take some boon from me. So he blessed him. Then he became very powerful by the blessing of Lord Shiva, and very egoistic because there is no one who can fight with him. So now he had an itch to fight, and that is the ego problem. So he went to Lord Shiva. He says, please fight with me. Because ego likes to fight and then defeat and then feels happy. That's why people are always playing match, and if you don't play match, you watch it. And then you take pleasure when your team wins. Otherwise, what is your pleasure? You are sitting here and watching TV, and maybe the match is going in another country. So why are you being so thrilled about it? Because of the ego. You are identifying with it, and when your team is winning or your player is winning, and you think as if you have won. So the ego is feeling happy. And if the team loses, then you become sad. Right? So suddenly the whole country goes into depression. Such an amazing thing, you know. When they have this World Cup soccer in Europe, in the summer, you see this, Germany wins, and they are so happy on the street, running around, honking, jumping with the beer in hand. And in the next match they lose, then they want to kill this octopus. Poor guy. He has to be protected now. And the octopus has to do with this. He's not playing the game. Now he's making them win. So his life goes in danger, and everybody is depressed. So this is because of the ego, the ahankar.
So when we fight with another person, sometimes...
Fighting is with the ego.
Yes, because I had a problem with my music producer, and we start to fight, and then I decide, no, leave it like that. I'm not going to be in the ego game.
So you are clever. That you got out easily. Because usually you cannot get out of it.
Like that.
I know.
You get so entangled, then you go home and you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
How you want to smash this guy. Because ego cannot be happy when it is defeated. It always wants to get the better of the enemy. So all this, so many people, wars, Alexander the Great, why he disturbed so many people? Because of his ego, nothing else. Could have lived in his own kingdom happily, but he went everywhere. Came all the way from there to India. You can see how stupid that. And then you suffer, You can imagine coming to India and getting bitten by the mosquitoes. And heat and dust. And God knows what all they have to suffer. Getting diarrhea here. Going to an Ayurvedic doctor. So all these problems just because of ego. And it is one guy who has the ego and then there are 50,000 behind him. Because his ego is so strong that he brainwashes another 50,000 people to kill themselves for him. What are they getting?
Nothing.
But they also identify with this. So this is ahankar. So सात्विक अहंकारस्य तथात्वेपि पदार्थस्य एकत्वात् शांत गौरमूढ़ां केवल शांतत्वं व्यावर्तते. So in sattvic ahankar there can be peace because there is only one object, but there are always changes. अतएव चेतसो वृत्तिभिर लक्षणं प्रोक्तम नैता वृत्तियो अहंकारादिर भवन्ति. So these vrittis which were described here, clean, no changes, peacefulness, they cannot be in ahankar, mind and buddhi. They are the vritti of chitta. Which means that if you stop these all other vrittis, then this is how you will be. Because chitta is naturally like that. There is nothing you have to do. All you have to do is that you stop the vrittis of ahankara, mind and buddhi, then you can be in peace. ननु चित्तमपि बुद्धियादिभिर विषय ग्रहणे कलुषितं जायते अन्यथा तन्निरोधे यत्नो न कर्तव्यसात् यथा अतः यथा पामति. So he says, but you have described here that chitta is clean and so on, but it also becomes unclean by accepting the vrittis of chitta, buddhi, etc. And then we have to make an effort to bring an end to these vrittis, chitta, vritti, nirodha, yoga. So why you say that this is clean? So he gives an answer there. He says that this is answered by the example of water. Yathapam, as in water. Yadyapi fen tarangadayo apam bhavanti tathapi na tasam sahaja svabhavayam. He says that there are waves in water, there are bubbles, foam, but that is not the natural thing in water. Someone has to do something to create waves in water. If you just leave water and no bubbles are going to form, no foam is going to come. So it is coming from outside. Kintu vayavadi kritam. It is by air, etc. that the waves are created in water. Svabhavato nirmalameva. By nature it is clean. Ateva para prakriti apam swachaya. Therefore the nature of water is clean, and in the same way the nature of chitta is clean. Lakshanam to akritrim. So this definition is natural definition. Means when you define an object, you define the object when it is in its natural state. Otherwise you can take dirty water and then say this is water. And that is not the natural definition of the water. You can also take a dirty chitta and then say, well, chitta is that which is disturbed, which has got all this samskara in it. And that is not the natural state of the chitta. That is not the chitta when it comes out from the factory. It is after you have polluted it. So when you make a definition of its natural state. Apadhikastu kritrim. All these things are unnatural. Nahi kadachit abhi prithvi nirmala bhavati. He says earth is never clean. Vayurva vikarrito bhavati. Air is never without changes in it, always moving. Tejo va shantam bhavati. And fire is never peaceful. It's always agitated. Atastat sambandhe apam tattat bhavapatti. Therefore, instead of giving example of earth, air or fire, the example is given of water. So this is the description of Chitta given here, and next he is going to explain how from Chitta or from Mahatattva the other elements come. That will read tomorrow if there is any question on this.
You were talking about satisfaction within, and that unintelligent people seek satisfaction outside. And I would like to make it a little more like personal or practical. If you have met people who are that kind, not interested that much outside or inside, or how to make it practical for ourselves. Because when I judge myself, I take pleasure in outside things, right? I like to travel, see nice things and things like that. And when I sit around, I see almost everybody's like that. So that makes me feel that everybody is like that. But I want to believe that it's not like that. So if you my question is, if you have met somebody who is in that category, who is trying to, be satisfied within, not so much interested.
Yeah, so I already explained. The question is clear to everybody. I already said that there are two paths. One is the path of going within like this and avoiding everything external. And then there is another path where we don't do that, but we try to utilize everything in the service of the Lord. That is the path in Bhakti. Because this going within, although it is true, it can be done like this, but it is not a very practical process. Because for this, you have to become very impractical in the society. And especially at present, where we have gone too much away from the nature and our lifestyle is not natural anymore. We are not like the primitive people who lived with nature and their needs were very limited. Now our needs are too many and we are very much dependent on technology, and technology comes from money and money comes from hard labor. So then everybody has to do hard labor. So now the lifestyle is different, and therefore what is practical now is Bhakti, where you don't have to think that now I want to travel, I want to do this, and in this process all this has to be stopped. So you do it, you have your propensities, but you utilize them in devotional manner. So that is another way of purifying your vrittis. That all these propensities are there, and one way of is that you get rid of these propensities, which is a very lengthy and tedious process, and you may not be successful. And this is actually Bhagavatam's philosophy, that you will never be successful in that. Because how can you get rid of ahankara? It's a material element, it's right there. You can reduce the field of ahankara. You can reduce the field of your sense perception, but you cannot get rid of it completely. Even if you live in a small hut and don't meet with any people, but at least you are inside the hut, then that becomes your world. You still need to eat. You can reduce the number of items you eat and number of times you eat in a day, but still you have to eat. So therefore the other path, which is the path of that you consider yourself belonging to God. And then these vrittis, these propensities, these inclinations, they are utilized in the service of God. This is what Bhagavatam is going to propose, or has been proposing actually right from the beginning. But that has to be understood very clearly.
I understand that concept of philosophy. I was just asking that when I'm in a peaceful environment, I can identify with satisfaction within. It comes like more natural. But when I am in a disturbed situation, and I would desperately need to be satisfied within. It doesn't really work.
No, it works. If actually if you are grounded within, then you will not be disturbed by it. And that's why I've been talking on this point actually in this chitta. I spoke previous class and before that also. Why I'm stressing so much on this is that you have to understand and get to this level. This change has to occur at this level. Why bhakti really works? Because mostly we don't understand the concept behind it. That you have to change at this level. It is not something just taking it externally, that I am a devotee and I change externally, I put on Taladbhuti. This change has to happen inside, starting from chitta and ahankara. So when your ahankara itself will change, then these things will not disturb you. That is the practical side of bhakti. Because then your consciousness, your awareness itself changes, your vision changes, and you don't become disturbed by it. You see everything from the perspective of bhakti. You start seeing everything as an arrangement of Krishna, as an arrangement of His grace. Even when things are very difficult, even in that difficult situation, you see that there is something superior in it. So that consciousness has to be brought from within.
That generally comes later.
Hmm?
Sometimes even years later.
Yeah, but that is the meaning of being a devotee, really speaking. So that's why when we hear the stories of people like Prahlad, so he is a very good example that he is in the midst of unfavorable people, right? Most unfavorable. And not only in the midst of unfavorable people, but his own father is most unfavorable to bhakti. That may not be the case with any one of us, that somebody's father or mother is so antagonistic that they are ready to kill you if you take the name of God, because you threw him on the ground. So how can you speak about this? And then he was disturbed in so many ways, but he remained peaceful. So the biggest demon of the universe was trying to disturb the most vulnerable person, 5-year-old boy. So why he was not able to disturb? This is to show the power of bhakti. That if the change has occurred inside, then these external things cannot disturb. Because this disturbance really starts from inside. When we have yearnings, vasanas, desires inside, then the external things can disturb me. But if I don't have, why is that Sukdev was not disturbed by seeing naked woman? Because there was no sanskara inside. Why is that someone else gets disturbed when he sees a naked woman? Because there is a samskara inside. So the disturbance is not coming from outside. This is our mistake. We think like that. That this woman is disturbing my mind. Or this woman is dressed scantily and therefore my mind is disturbed. No, she is only telling you that you have this nonsense inside you. She is like a mirror basically, who tells you what garbage is inside you. You should be thankful for her. This is a real thing. But when the samskara is not there, then there's nothing which can disturb. So this change of bhakti comes from that deep level, from that level. And therefore, although we talk of all these things, separation of man, woman and all this, these are all part of Gyan Marg. When you come to 10th Canto, then it's all about women only. It's all about women association. Krishna is also surrounded with women. But before that you hear Narada's instruction in 7th Canto and this speaking and another speaking, and then don't sit with a woman in a lonely place, or even if it's a mother or sister, swasa matra duhita kuva. In bhakti this is not necessary. Because the seed is not there. The seed is removed. But till the time the seed is there, then you can even go inside Yamuna when there is nothing and you can see a fish and become disturbed. How can you become disturbed by seeing a fish? Unless the disturbance is lying within you. So this is the difference. So this bhakti is very profound process. Very profound.
Satyanarayana, it's almost like saying you are what you eat. Whatever you take in, it becomes a samskara. That's what could be the cause of your downfall, because you become that thing.
Yeah, actually when the devotee is there, then this thing also does not apply. This is what I'm trying to say. When this doesn't influence you.
Swami, I have a question. The past year, I went to a Zen meditation for 2 hours, and I had a very strong experience. When you meditate for so many long time, for example 1 hour, you start to suffer. Your pain, back, everything is going to. So how many minutes or how many, it's the time for meditation, the right way to meditate?
That varies from person to person. Obviously, if your body is aching, then you cannot meditate, then your mind will go only for that. That's why in Ashtanga Yoga, I have this asana pranayama only for this very reason, to make it stable. Asana is not defined by Patanjali, all these so many poses. This is part of Hatha Yoga. But asana says that sthiram sukham asanam. That asana means when you can sit down peacefully and happily without any pain in the body. Could be anything. You can sit in the chair and where you can sit without, means your body should not become disturbance to your meditation. And that you can also increase by practice.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Because I want to send some pictures to but I can't send it.
So I found Kesha, and he said that he also had the same problem, connecting, disconnecting, and then very slow. Because when these people came 2 days ago, I said, it's not possible, Mataji. For the past 2 days, there's absolutely no disturbance anywhere. Everything is going very smoothly. But when I found Kesha, he said, So I think that tomorrow morning, this Abhijit, the main person, I let you speak to him and find out what is exactly, should we wait for it? Because it's, as far as I know, the best connection that we can get. Anything else, anything else like this,
I would like to speak.
so that we know whether we should wait or not, because, this is the thing. For internet it doesn't, for my emails it doesn't matter. But for this thing, we need a very reliable... I'm right, I will give him this thing.
Can I ask a short question? I want to purchase Jaiva Dharma and I don't know which edition should I buy. Do you have idea of English edition that should be the most...
So Narayan Maharaj,
That's a good one? I'll try to do that. I listened to a few tapes in Jaiva and I got a real taste.